Good morning. Hey, I wanted to share some stuff with you guys this morning, particularly something there again that I'm working on myself, and it is joy. I have really focused on trying to remain joyful. It's something that at times is difficult, and most of the time when I'm not able to be joyful, it's things that I've created on my own. It's stress and anxieties from the future. It's anger and bitterness and guilt and shame from my past. It's things outside of the here and now, because the here and now is really where we can live that joyful, abundant life that Jesus talks about in John chapter 10, verse 10. It says, "The thief comes to only steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that you may have life and have it to the fullest." So if you look at a timeline of your life and you're at the X, present time, future's over here, past is over here. If Satan can keep you bound up in worries about your future, fears about your future, anxiety about your future, he's pulled you out of the present, outside of that abundant, joyful life. If he can remind you of your past, regrets, shame, hurt, bitterness, guilt, of things that you've done, he's pulled you outside of that abundant, joyful life. Now, not only does he do that, I think we oftentimes have a tendency to do that to ourselves by either overextending ourselves, doing things against our better judgment, breaking fellowship with Christ, not being in the Word, not prayer, not devoting that prayer time, breaking fellowship with our fellow Christians at church. I think we can do things like that to also negatively affect our joyful, abundant life situation. The key to an abundant life is really, like I said, just living in that present moment and seeking and obeying God. As much as Satan can use our past regrets and worrisome futures to steal our joy, like I said, we do have a tendency to do that, to ourselves as well. So here are a few scripturally backed strategies that help me, and I hope they can help you guys too, to really stay focused on that joy. And the reason I think it's so important to stay focused on that joy is because if we're supposed to be set apart as Christians, different from the world, but we portray the same attitude as the world, negative, worrisome, anxious, just all of the stuff we don't like to feel. If we portray that, how are we any different? How are we portraying ourselves differently? The people that I notice that stick out to me when I'm in town and I can tell that person knows Jesus, typically they're joyful, they're happy, they're smiling, they're talking to people. You can tell that. I mean, that's not something that's joy shows. Joy really does show. So here are a few scripturally backed strategies that help me with my joy. The very first, it says, take every thought captive. Refuse to dwell on your past and refuse to worry about your future. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5, it says, we demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Take those thoughts captive and don't let past failures or future worries step in the way of that abundant life that Christ has for us. The second point is learn and quote biblical passages of peace. For the longest time, and I still do it from time to time, but I'll have a stack of verses in my pocket. And if something comes up, if I get mad, I fight anger. Anger is one of those things that I have always fought, and I'll twist off and act foolish. So I keep verses in my pocket. And when I feel myself starting to bubble up, pull verses out and go reading through them. And it's amazing how quick I simmer down, if you will. So with that being said, learn and quote biblical passages of peace. A couple of those I'll share with you. One's in Matthew chapter 6, verse 34. It says, therefore, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. That's true. Tomorrow will be here whether we want it to be or not. Don't dwell on the future. Don't dwell on your past, and don't worry about your future, rather. The second verse I want to share with you about that is, rejoice in the Lord always. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God that transcends all understanding will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. That's Philippians chapter 4, verses 4 through 7. And thirdly, give thanks. In every situation, give thanks. I can tell you this beyond a shadow of a doubt. You can't carry offense and the cross at the same time. So if you're giving joy, if you're giving thanks to the Creator, you're going to find it really hard to be bitter about a past situation. And if you're giving thanks to the Creator and joy to the Creator for what He's done in your life and for your family and for your church family and for you in particular, you're going to find it really hard to worry about what tomorrow holds. That's why it's so important to stay in the here and now and not worry about the future and the past. So give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. That comes out of 1 Thessalonians 5:18. And there again it says, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. Like I said, give thanks in all situations. It's hard to be negative when you're thanking Him for everything. So, all that being said, if you just think you don't have anything to be thankful for, you don't feel like there's nothing to be joyful over, I've read the back of the book and we win. Y'all have a great day.